Simon Lizotte talks injuries, the biggest problem he sees in disc golf, even what's holding the sport back. Oh, and that he's an ass man.
I'm a booty type guy. Very true still.
I knew Simon was my favorite for a reason. I'm Jefferson from the Disc Golf World with another episode of the Weekend Wrap-Up, breaking down everything disc golf you missed from over the weekend. We're at the dark times of the disc golf season, which isn't all that bad since the All-Star event is just 2 weeks away. But before we can get into that, we still have to be patient. I honestly woke up today and had no idea what I was going to talk about, but then I was scrolling through YouTube and noticed this video. Most of you probably didn't think too much of it. If anything, you were excited for another Simon Lizotte Eagle McMahon collab. But immediately when I saw the thumbnail, I knew exactly what was going down. If you saw the original Q&A from 9 years ago, you're an OG disc golfer. I remember 13-year-old Jefferson watching this video thinking it was the greatest thing to bless the internet. That should just show you how low the bar was for disc golf content during that time. Nowadays, there's no way the comment section will be nice to a fish-eyed GoPro lens, shitty audio video made by two awkward teens. Unless we're on Pornhub, that shit wouldn't slide. But I'm sure the fans probably just couldn't think with the background music turned up all the way. Of course, I wouldn't expect much from a 17 and 22-year-old, right? So let's cut them some slack. And for all you agreeing, I'm also 22. So next time you're pissed at me, keep the same energy. If you haven't already seen the original, go do that. Then watch the reaction. And then you can get my reaction of the original video. Simon fills us in on his old nickname, and I personally think we should bring it back. Monkey does have a nice ring to it. But I really hope Simon's wife is in charge of naming the children, because Virus Lizotte sounds awful. I would have went Tara, but I understand why they would forget such a lame disc. Other than the whole switching sponsor thing, the next biggest change from 9 years ago was Eagle no longer being a vegan. What was once the kid's entire personality is no longer attached. I'm just glad the jokes are finally over. I think that dead horse has already been beat enough. Okay, last one though, because we had a full circle moment. Eagle can confirm after nearly a decade that Chipotle chicken was in fact good. So if you needed a blessing to try it, Eagle's got you covered. I would just tell you Qdoba's better, but whatever. Another funny moment is when Simon goes on to say the worst disc he's ever thrown was Eagle's Metal Flake Max, which was disrespectful because it was a tilt before the tilt. And you know what's quite ironic? Simon is the godfather of the tilt. Talking so much shit for what, Simon? Eagle goes on the record claiming he does not discriminate against discs. Good thing I'm all about disc shaming and answer the question for him. Take the Zone OS out of your bag. You can barely handle a normal zone. People that throw the glitch prefer to sit down when they pee. And if you bag any Latitude 64, what the f are you doing? That's stupider than throwing around a day until Innova makes a Halo groove. Oh wait, if that offended you, don't check out my second channel or you might cry. Eagle McMahon shows off his lefty throws, so don't be fooled thinking he just picked up a disc and was just good like that. Of course he's been trying it out. I mean, what disc golfer hasn't tried playing a lefty only round? Funnier is watching Simon count his steps to measure how far they threw. We really are spoiled with UDisc and rangefinders now. For those wondering, Simon's drive was 116 steps and Eagle was 117. Now we just have to convert Simon's foot to feet and we're set. I'm still in shock that Simon went on the internet to say that he liked broccoli on his pizza, and then goes on to say he hates carrots and the taste makes him throw up. You're not allowed to have that opinion with that pizza topping. And I thought pineapple was bad. Some of you might be more upset that Eagle keeps calling Paul McBeth the GOAT on numerous occasions. I don't even have to say it, so go ahead and disagree with Eagle. I dare ya. Finally, a juicy question. What is the biggest problem in disc golf? And Simon does not shy away from the difficult ones. He goes on to say that he hates that someone can miss their line just barely but get punished so drastically only for someone else to miss their line by a huge margin yet end up just fine. He finds that this is where more luck is involved. I see where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, as much as we might not like the answer, it's reality. That's disc golf. Love it or hate it, everyone experiences it. And if we're being honest, Simon, how many aces are hit because you missed your line and the disc just ended up finding chains? We both know the way you throw. If it misses, you're sailing farther past the basket than most amateurs can throw. It is funny that they both admit to not practicing that much, but when you're as good as them, how are you supposed to practice? Sure, putting, but setting up a basket in the backyard isn't going to translate to the pressure moments these two young up-and-comers needed. Also, if you were 20 years old playing professional disc golf traveling the country with little responsibility, the last thing on my mind is going to be practicing my 15-footers. Another takeaway from this video was they needed to bring back the distance competition. I'm not talking the ones we've seen on Jomez recently, but going back to the desert with a crazy wind so somebody can break the world record. At least then maybe Ella will finally be able to stop choking. Sorry you had to catch a stray, Ella, but I'm just trying to motivate you before Eliezer Middling swipes it away from you. Eagle claimed 9 years ago he was going to outdrive Simon using a disc without his name on it. Even saying that back in the day, he used to scratch off Simon's name off the discs in his bag. He made sure to go on record though to say he's grown out of that and will indeed bag a time lapse and pixel. The biggest takeaway I had from the video is that both of these Crush boys are ass men, which is going to be my suggestion for their new team name.
Let me slap that thing. No.
Simon wasn't done being the face of disc golf content. Then again, when is he not? Gatekeeper released their hour-long uncut solo shot interview at the Northeast Disc Golf Expo. So I'll give the highlights, but you guys should check out the full thing for all the other details. Kicking off, he talks about all the recent injuries he's currently battling, which is the last thing I was hoping to hear. He starts off explaining about tweaking his knee, some back pain, he casually drops having a partially torn ACL, removed all of his wisdom teeth, oh, and that elbow injury we thought he was recovering from? Yeah, that's never going away. Simon is no longer that 22-year-old ass man, he's a 31-year-old dad. He's got to take care of his body better, and I'm not talking about putting more broccoli on his pizza. He did say that the injuries have actually helped his game, forcing him to throw safer shots instead of constantly ripping discs as hard as he can. I'm glad he learned that, but an injury shouldn't have been the way to find out. Most of us wondered the involvement Simon had in the new MVP signings with Eagle and Paul Kranz. He went on to say that Eagle and him stayed at Airbnbs together, and being curious, Eagle was constantly looking in his bag, even getting some testing in with the new plastic. After hearing about Simon's transition and the newfound fun, Eagle did what any of us would do and asked Simon for permission to join the team. Thinking it over, he reluctantly allowed it, which was the exact opposite of how Paul Kranz, the 2023 PDGA Rookie of the Year, joined the team. Simon actually told MVP to pick him up. Sure, it might have been to be the new camera guy for the vlogs, but that's right up MVP's alley. Why else do they have Joey on the team? Joking, of course. I'm a big Paul Kranz fan. He's already been putting up crazy numbers for such a young age. Now with the added Simon personal lessons, I'm expecting bigger and better things. He then goes on to explain what he believes is the number one thing holding disc golf back. Yeah, someone drops bombs on and off the course. He goes on to say there's a problem with courses pros are playing. At least that's what he starts with. Simon then goes on to talk about how disc golf is filmed and is not translating well to the cameras. I agree, but I think the problem is focused on the wrong thing. I think disc golf is awesome, just like Simon keeps saying. But who the wants to sit and watch an hour and a half of disc golf just to know what happened in one round? How is no one seeing that as a problem? Not to mention, that's post-produce, which someone will tell you that's the problem. This is a moment I find the young person in me screaming. How much time can we get rid of if we just take away those tap-ins that are so necessary? Or how about those easy hyzers laying up to the basket? Cut everything out that's unnecessary, and let's get people watching more of the video. I would love to see the retention of post-produced content, because I'm betting it's lower than 20%, which is the problem. How can YouTube be the main platform we're pushing the sport on, yet abandon every YouTube rule when posting? Get this, you have to play the game to find success. Notice the titles and thumbnails? We'd be no one without them. Let's see some experimentation in how we can tell the story of a tournament rather than just showing shots over and over again with the hopes that one joke hits. Or it, let Swiss and I film what we want and watch us amaze you. This isn't just for tournament coverage either. Let's take this video as an example. Besides adding the auto captions and not double checking that they're all correct, why would anyone think posting an unedited video is going to perform extraordinarily well? Don't get me wrong, a 20K video is awesome, especially about disc golf. But when a channel with 10% of your following can triple the views because of the optimized format, maybe the focus should be making the best content possible. That's why Disc Golf World is back on tour for the 2024 disc golf season, so make sure to subscribe to follow along the journey of providing the best disc golf content we can do, and that's a promise. I mean, some of us out there are trying to provide quality rather than just being the first out. Alright, the rant's over, but I hope someone out there is listening, because no one answers their damn email. Simon isn't done dropping big news either, saying his plan is to be on tour for the next 5 years. Paul McBeth just went on record saying he wants to play for the next 10. This is the first time we have a timeline of the veterans on tour, but I'm not worried yet. There's still plenty of time for some craziness. After that though, Simon already has a plan on owning a sick disc golf property that will feature a restaurant, pro shop, elite course, happy endings, and it all. I can't wait for someone to give him some money and say ball out, because then we'll have a disc golf paradise. We got an update on the robot that MVP was in works with. Apparently a BattleBot designer is the one making it, and just last week is said to be back in production. I'm very skeptical about this, and with little known publicly, we'll just have to wait and see. There's so much more I want to say, but I'll probably talk for another 30 minutes, so I'll leave it off with this.
I like grass. Like, give me a chainsaw for 2 days, and I'll make it the best course in the world. It's a bit too fluky, like sometimes on these holes, like missing your line can be such a benefit over just like barely missing your line, and that's when disc golf gets frustrating for me.
Nothing's really changed in the last 9 years. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the disc golf world, and we have so much more in store for you guys, so make sure to join the journey. Oh, and if you want to hear about how Swiss and I were the last people to play W.R. Jackson before the cutting of the trees, check out the video right here.